You see, one of the fundamental mistakes we make is to think that we are the same humans that existed on the planet 300 or 400 years ago. The truth is that we've evolved, and I'm not talking about evolved biologically. You see, one of the things that makes us very different from humans of the past is this device, right? That's it, it's your common phone. What's happened is that as human beings, we've learned to tap into not just our own intelligences and the intelligences of people around us, but also those of computers and the entirety of humanity in 1 second. In fact, I'd go so far as to argue that we are cyborgs because of our ability to interface with the internet and mobile phones. Now, a lot of us, instead of tapping into the entirety of humanity's knowledge, we use these mobile phones to post memes and argue with each other online, which is kind of a sad state of things. But with Meta, I'm going to teach you and show you how using these mobile phones and Google, which is the interface between the mobile phone and the internet, I'm going to show you how to use that effectively. In fact, in 2019, if you had to ask me what is the most valuable skill a human being can learn, it wouldn't be design or code or marketing. It would be the ability to use Google effectively. Now, how do you use Google, right? What's a good analogy? And now I've been thinking about what the best way to put this across is, and the best analogy I found is that of a search and rescue dog. Now, if say a person is missing and you need to find that person and you have, this amazing dog that you can give, a piece of that human being to, whether it's a piece of hair, whether it's a little bit of their clothing, whether it's a shoe, it doesn't matter, right? If you can give this to the dog and the dog can smell it, and then it goes and finds the human being across many different search paths. Google is a lot like that. You have to give it a little bit of information, just a little bit of information, and we call this information keywords. Then Google does its job and it finds the right person, or in this case, the right page or the right piece of content for you. Now, using this ability, you can learn everything. You don't even need this course, which is why I put this episode right at the top so that you can learn the most valuable skill that I believe a human being can have today, the ability to Google. So let's get right to it. Now, this episode is called Google Fu. It's your ability to Google, and let's just get started. So this is a funny meme. I've started using memes in my decks, or rather, comic strips in my decks. This is by Cyanide and Happiness. It's by somebody interviewing for a tech job, and the person says, "How do you troubleshoot problems?" And the guy says, "Google," and that's it. He's hired. And the truth is, in most interviews, what people are looking for is not all the abilities you already have, but the abilities you can learn. And the best way to learn these abilities or to sniff out information is to use Google. Right? And this works not just for any IT job. And like we mentioned in the episode previously, almost all jobs today are technology jobs. Almost all jobs today are becoming IT jobs, right? Almost all businesses are starting to become entirely IT businesses, right? The product actually, even if it's an offline product, it's secondary to the information business that's primary. So the world has changed. The role of education until the early 2000s was to teach people concepts that they could first memorize, then recall, and then use. So if you went to school or college, you need to remember things. Pythagoras theorem, or it could be the speed of light. It could be all of these variables that you had to put into your head. Now, Google has changed that with all of humanity's information available in one search. The role of a knowledge worker now is to be able to find the right combination of keywords to pull out specific information. So your job is not that of the search and rescue dog, right? When you're asked to pull out some data, a lot of people think their job is to actually be the dog and sniff out, the right kind of data. It's not. Google does that for you. Your job is to be the master who gives the dog the right piece of information. In this case, is the keyword, right? So this is why I also believe that a lot of exams in 2019 should be open book exams. A lot of people argue that, what happens if there's a storm and all the electricity and internet goes out? Well, that is a very, very, very rare circumstance. And even if that happens, you don't need to remember certain variables and certain formulae, right? Like if you're caught in the middle of the storm, why would you need to pull out certain things that you wouldn't be able to already intuitively know? So in an always connected, always going world, the ability to memorize information is not as important as the ability to seek out information on the fly. So we're going to learn how to be professional information detectives, most people spend about 2 to 3 hours a day on poor Google searches, right? I know people in companies today who are spending at least 2 hours a day just searching online. And it's part of most knowledge workers' job. And the difference between a knowledge worker and somebody else is that a knowledge worker actually sits on a daily basis and figures out whether it could be in this field of data science or design or code. They're all knowledge workers because you need to solve information-based problems every day. Right, so we're going to touch upon a lot of things. We're going to learn how to sift through all of humanity's data with a certain level of grace. We're also going to learn to touch upon reverse image search, which is to find out where an image is from. It's important to figure out how to do reverse image search if you want to avoid fake news. Authenticity detection, again, a good way to differentiate good data from bad data, and much, much more. Let's get started. So, let me iterate this again. You own a supercomputer. Most top-level executives in companies, they conduct more Google searches than lower-level executives. You can in fact see how high up a person is in a company depending on how many searches that person does per day. CEOs, software developers, and complex task employees conduct a record number of searches. Right? So the general rule is that the more you're paid, the more professional searches you do. This is a general algorithm. Obviously a sports person could be paid a lot, but not do any Google searches. I'm just talking about knowledge workers, and this is on average. If you're looking to write a story, and these are just general tips that I want to go through. If you're looking to write a story, try using a search query like story writing steps or story writing procedure instead of how to write a story. Right? Google is not the right place to ask questions directly, although it is becoming a better platform to do that. Use keywords that have a high chance of giving you specific content results. The more unique your keywords, the better the content you get. Googling paracetamol side effects, and for those of you who don't know what paracetamol is, it's the same thing you'd find in a Crocin or a Calpol. It's something that relieves headache. This query has a better chance of returning good results over headache medicine side effects. Because paracetamol is a unique keyword, right? And you're more likely to find better information. The more unique a keyword, the higher quality the results, like we just spoke of. Use words like top, best, highest, and use the current year. So, for example, if you want to find the top Shopify plugins, you'd look for Shopify top plugins 2019, and it'll give you more curated, more recent, and more relevant results than just Shopify plugins, right? So recency and relevancy and rank are very important, and we'll talk about all of that. Cool. So here are some more quick tips. If you want to look for exact keywords, you use quotations, right? So if you want to look for paracetamol and you want only paracetamol along with other things, so you use paracetamol in quotations. So you're not looking for paracetamol A or paracetamol E or something like that. You're looking for those exact keywords. Try not to ask questions. Search inside websites. We're going to do file types. We're going to use date ranges. We're going to learn how to do reverse images. We're going to figure out how to pick a result. We're going to see how Google Alerts works. We're going to use Google News. We're going to search for email, and we're going to use money and unit conversions and also use the inbuilt Google calculator. Now, this is how you use quotes. So if you look for buy gaming mouse, you'd find a lot of information, but putting the words gaming mouse in quotations means that you won't get misjudged as something else, right? And we'll probably go through examples of this later in the course when I'm looking for stuff, especially when I'm teaching you guys a little bit of front-end development and I make some mistakes. I use the quotes a lot, right? So this is how you shouldn't ask questions. So instead of saying how to write a book, where you will get some content about how to write a book, you should instead say steps to write a book. And that gives you on-demand, quick information. So you don't even need to click through to see that this is the result on the right is a better result, right? So establish your writing space, assemble your writing tools. You get guides when you make statements rather than when you ask questions. The next thing is searching within websites. If you want to search, say, within Facebook, you use the keywords site, and then you use, the colon, and then facebook.com advertising help. So you're looking inside facebook.com. I use this a lot with a site called PubMed, that's PUBMED, which allows me to look into research papers. So if I want to look at research on how to lose weight, I would say site pubmed.com space weight loss, right? Because instead of me looking through, the results at the front page of Google are not the best results, right? They're just the results with the most traffic, which Google thinks are helpful. I prefer, especially for scientific research, I prefer using specific scientific sites instead of having some layman giving me information on how to lose weight. So I look inside sites like PubMed or Cochrane. The next thing is file types. So a lot of times you want a PDF result or you want a Word doc result and you can't get it very easily. The way to do this is to search for something, say Twinkle Twinkle in this case, file type colon PDF. And this will give you only PDF results. And this is a beautiful tool that I use a lot, especially when I want to download textbooks or something that where I want the entire information instead of just some summary. Next thing to use is a date range. And I use date ranges a lot with coupons. A long time ago, I used to be a gamer, and every time a new skin would come out for a character that I really liked in a game, in multiple different games, I'd go to Facebook. Specifically, I'd look for the site Facebook, like we just learned, and then I'd say, I want this skin coupon, and then I'd look in the date range, as you can see on the screen here, in the past 24 hours. Right? Because these coupons, especially with these gaming sites, they expire within a day, right? They expire within 2 days, or it's the first 100 people or first 200 people. So I prefer to use this past 24 hours to get the right kind of code. And as you can see the time of the results. You can see this was 8 hours ago. You can see this was 59 minutes ago. You can see this was 21 hours ago. It allows you to be very quick, because in our economy today, time is very, very important. You can, in fact, get a lot of things for free if you know how to use the date range. The next thing is reverse image search. Now, say somebody puts up an image and says, this person killed this elephant in this jungle and this person is a bad person. A lot of people take that to heart, right? You'd go on Instagram, you'd scroll down and you'd see this image of some guy standing next to an elephant and you get really angry. But if you use reverse image search, and the way to do this is to use a site called TinEye, and you guys can actually do that. Go to TinEye. Just go to Google, type TINEYE, you find reverse image search. You just take that image of that man with the elephant, drag it into reverse image search, and you'll find all the different sources it's from, right? So you'll find different results from different places. And, that image that I was talking about was actually about somebody, some Jurassic Park owner or something, and it was a fake elephant. So that's the best way to differentiate real information from fake information, right? The next thing is how do you actually pick a result? Say you look for startup lawyers in Bangalore, and we've been very specific here. The keyword here is Bangalore, so that it doesn't just find startup lawyers everywhere. You'd find some of these results. And the way to pick a result is not to pick the first or second result, but to look at all the different results, open 10 or 15 different tabs, and go through those pages. So when you look at startup lawyers in Bangalore, one of the results that you will see is a result by Quora, where it's actual people answering. That's a good way. Like when you see crowdsourced results from multiple different people, choose those sites, choose review sites. For example, if you're looking to review or you're looking to find a doctor, or if you're looking to find a lawyer, it would be better for you to go to review sites or for you to go to Quora, where multiple people are allowed to give their opinion instead of a blog by a law firm themselves. If you go to a blog by a law firm themselves, obviously they're going to talk about themselves, right? So be very careful when picking a result. Try to pick results that are crowdsourced. One of the ways I like to look at these results, for example, when I was looking for broadcasting software for Meta, instead of me just typing broadcasting software, I type broadcasting software space Quora or broadcasting software space Reddit, because these are all community discussion forums. Always choose to look at results from community discussion forums, because you get many different types of results by many different people. The next thing is setting Google Alerts. Now, Google Alerts are important for you to stay up to date. Like I told you, in the information economy, the faster you get information compared to somebody else, the more advantages you gain. So, for example, if I wanted to go and set alerts for my own name, what I do is I'd go to google.co.in/alerts and I'd put my name in that. So what I do is I've set alerts for all the topics I care about. People ask me, where do I get my information? And the truth is that I have set alerts for everything on multiple different places. So, for example, if I want to know a little more about paracetamol, I'd set an alert for it. So tomorrow, if a new research paper comes out saying that paracetamol is bad for you, I will gain that alert before you do. So what you should do is sit around you, think about the 10, 50 things that you really care about with as unique keywords as possible, because if the keywords are not unique, if you just care about things like motivation and you set that as an alert, you'd get alerts every day about random stuff. You want very specific things, right? So you can look for the things that you're really interested in. For example, it could be quantum physics. It could be something as simple as Apple. It could be something as simple as Google itself. So just set alerts for it using google.co.in/alerts. The next thing is Google News, right? when you look for something, instead of clicking on the all tab, which is where you start, you can click on the news tab. So you can see recency and relevancy. For example, if you look for my name, you'll find an article by Your Story, and you'll find a lot of stuff by entrepreneur.com and a bunch of other places. These are news sources, right? And obviously take news sources with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, it's still human beings, one human being writing it. And in 2019, you should rarely look at something that is written by one human being. Right? This is a positive news source about or a news article about us, but I would still say that when you're looking and doing your own research, look at community-based forums. Right? It's better than looking at one source. The next thing which I do very often on Google is I just use Google as a calculator. A lot of people open the calculator app and they do a lot of different things, but I just say, look, if I want to calculate 735, I just type it into Google itself and it gives me results. If I want to see 45 feet in inches, I just Google it, right? So Google has become my single interface instead of having multiple different tools to do multiple different things. The next and last thing is, how do you actually look for phone numbers on Google? And it's phone : with the actual number you want to look. So this is how you reverse search phone numbers. And this is useful when you're getting a call and you don't have something like Truecaller, which is another option to kind of reverse search phone numbers. It allows you to find out who this phone number belongs to. So what happens sometimes is, if I'm getting a phone call from somebody and I don't have Truecaller and I have a computer nearby, I sometimes just type in the phone number to find out who this person is and what they're looking for. And if it's important, I pick up, right? And in the future, I think with Truecaller and stuff getting better, I think you will get that context when somebody's calling you either way. So that's it for this episode. In this episode, we learned how to kind of create or do our own Google searches. We learned how to be that master who gives his dog instructions to go out and retrieve the right kind of information. In the next episode, we're going to go a little deeper into the idea of business itself. And I just wanted to get this out of the way because this is a very important skill. Just with the information you got on this episode, you should be able to retrieve a lot of information that will be valuable to you, so you can learn anything and everything even beyond this episode and beyond this course. That's the goal of being somebody who's mentoring you guys, right? So that you're able to do things by yourself. That's it, guys. See you on the next episode.